about it. Yeah, 21, 21. Savage. Period. Is she a bad?
I'm hurt, I'm numb, I'm angry, and I want justice for my baby and my grandbaby.
On November 26, 2021, Thanksgiving memories turned bloody when the body of a 22-year-old new mother was found with 58 stab wounds in an abandoned house. The woman was young Deja Jenkins-Minus, who had just had her baby 2 months prior. But when the police responded to a call for a well-being check at a home on Llewellyn Street, Lowell, Massachusetts, they did not expect to walk into the horror that greeted them. The young mother was lying motionless with her baby nowhere in sight, putting the police in even more panic to uncover the truth. Her killer was Deja's ex and her baby's father, all because she opposed a paternity test to soothe his paranoid doubts. This is the life and death of Deja Jenkins-Minus. This tragedy would unfold in the city of Lowell, Massachusetts, a diverse community with a strong working-class presence and a rich industrial history. However, it had a crime rate higher than the national average in 2021, with 450 violent crimes and 2,157 property crimes, making it less safe than 96% of Massachusetts cities. And it is within the ropes of this chaos that Deja would be discovered dead.
The Jenkins-Minus family has no idea why someone would want to kill this 22-year-old woman the day after Thanksgiving, and with it happening so close to the holidays, the pain is just unbearable.
On February 15, 1999, Deja was born to Lamont Jenkins and Latoya R. Minus in Boston, Massachusetts. This was where, specifically in Mattapan, Deja spent her early years. She was the first of 3 children, and right from a young age, she was an energetic and active person with lots of love to give. She loved dancing so much, and while she attended Jeremiah Burke High School, this love led her to get really invested in cheerleading. She continued to spread this cheer even out of the gym, as anyone who met Deja described her as a delight to be around. But Deja was not just a star on the social scene. She was also smart and excelled at school. In her senior year, she was an A and B student, yet remained hardworking and secured a job at Shake Shack.
You're about it. Yeah, 21, 21. Savage. Period. Is she a bad?
Deja had met Leonard Robinson a long time ago, when they were both only 14 years old. They met at a roller skating rink, and even at such a young age, there was an instant click between them. As they grew, this blossomed into undeniable chemistry. But like many puppy love stories, this would not last. They would break up, but reunite again years later, feeling very much in love again. Friends who knew them described them as in love.
Back with another one. This is a more bumpy vibe. Boppy vibe. Hey. Hey.
And the depth of their love was displayed on social media. They could be seen kissing, cuddling, or simply talking about their love for one another. Many videos and posts were accompanied by sweet captions, love quotes, or hashtags. But not everything online is as shiny as it seems. They would once again break up, and soon, Leonard came to be known as Deja's longtime on-again, off-again boyfriend. Deja did not restrict herself to him and would date other people in high school as well. But whenever she got single again, she somehow found her way back to Leonard. This continued for 8 years. Although they were never really consistent, when they were together, things were so good that they forgot why they were ever apart in the first place. No one knew why the relationship was so chaotic. They went down different paths. While Deja was academically inclined and determined to pursue a higher education, Leonard made a name for himself as a Boston drill rapper, also known as Pole Boy D. Rose. He had a small criminal history that he seemed proud of on social media. It was nothing that had kept him behind bars for too long, not until Deja fell into a relationship with him again. When they got back together again in 2020, it was just like old times, where they were immediately infatuated with each other. People expected them to break up again, but things would take a turn this time when a surprise would strengthen the ties that bound them together. Deja got pregnant for Leonard and could not be happier about it. She was excited to be a mother and glowed with warmth and delight. Leonard also seemed happy to have the baby on the way, but his love for his unborn child, unfortunately, could not surpass his criminal tendencies. Soon, Deja was left alone midway in her pregnancy when the law caught up with Leonard. Leonard Robinson found himself behind bars, facing 2 separate gun charges. Yet, despite it all, Deja remained loyal, publicly pleading for her baby daddy's freedom. Her wish was granted when Leonard walked out on a $5,000 bail. But soon, Daisy would be praying for something far more desperate, as Leonard's newfound freedom was about to take a deadly turn. In September of 2021, Deja and Leonard welcomed their baby, Dailani. Deja was immediately in love and obsessed with her baby. Her social media was flooded with posts of loving adoration and pictures marking Dailani's growth. But while the birth of her baby made Deja overcome with joy, it instead sent Lenore spiraling down a dangerous path. Lenore started to have doubts about Dailani's paternity. Within the first 2 months of Dailani's life, he took to social media to share his concerns and doubts, asking his followers whether he should get a paternity test and questioning if Dailani was really his. His rant soon had a ripple effect and triggered Deja's own haunting posts. She started to hint at problems in the relationship through her social media posts. She made back-to-back posts, one about not claiming men because they could disappoint, and then about men who hate their baby's mother, hinting that Leonard could be one of such men. Leonard did not stop sharing his feelings about Deja and Dailani. He even posted about how mad he was at Deja. These feelings stemmed from a silly request to prove Dailani's paternity, which Deja found insulting, and her refusal to participate would lead to her demise. But Deja couldn't harden her heart against the father of her child. Deja shared on social media that although she always had issues with her baby's father, she was grateful to him for the baby. She backed posts urging single mothers not to fear going it alone. This was a chilling hint that her relationship with Leonard was approaching a breaking point. But this time, the fallout would be far more devastating. Deja shared how excited she was to celebrate her daughter's first Thanksgiving. Not wanting to rob Leonard of this feeling, she planned to visit him on Thanksgiving and then return to her family home in Boston. But no one knew it would be the last time they'd ever see Deja Jenkins Minus alive. In the early hours of Thanksgiving Day, November 25, 2021, Deja took 2-month-old Dailani and drove down to Leonard's home on Llewellyn Street in Lowell. She planned to return to Boston for a family gathering later that day, but she never made it back. As the hours ticked by, her family couldn't shake the growing sense that something was terribly wrong. With multiple calls ignored and numerous texts unanswered, Deja's family was immediately on edge. Deja was not the type of woman to skip out on family or disappear with her child. Communication with Leonard had also been impossible, and soon her family knew they had to take matters into their hands. Using an app, they tracked Deja's phone to ping her location. It quickly showed that she was still at Leonard's home. Despite knowing that was where she planned to be, their unease only grew, so they decided to pay him a visit. What they found only indicated more trouble was coming. That night, some of Deja's relatives drove by Leonard's house, but her car was nowhere in sight, and the place seemed eerily empty. By morning, they knocked on the door, but got no answer, prompting them to question the neighbors.
I'm more mad that they won't come forward.
A mother's tearful plea for justice just days after 22-year-old Deja Jenkins Minus was found brutally murdered in Lowell.
The answers they received would leave Latoya's heart sinking even further. The neighbors acknowledged that they had seen Latoya the day before, but have had nothing since then. She was last seen arriving with her daughter and a diaper bag, and Leonard welcomed her. Panicked and frantic, Latoya immediately knew it was time to involve the authority. But the cops' arrival quickly unlocked a new level of horror. Upon arriving at the home to conduct a well-being check, the police found the house locked and seemingly empty, just as the family had described. Desperate to get answers, one of the relatives crawled in through the window and gained access to a sight that would haunt him forever. After crawling inside, he moved through the house, desperately searching for any sign of life. When he reached another locked door, he refused to turn back. He kicked it open, only to be met with the horrifying sight of Deja Jenkins Minus, lifeless on the floor.
Relax.
relax. He's not doing anything. Calm down. No, calm down. Calm down. Y'all can calm down. He didn't, hold on.
With the alarm raised over a dead body, police had no hesitation forcing their way inside. In Leonard's bedroom, Deja's lifeless body lay next to an air mattress. As they searched the home, they saw blood splattered across the kitchen, floors, and walls. This was grim evidence of the details the medical examiner would soon reveal about the merciless attack. Deja's neck was fractured, her body bearing over 58 stab wounds, with defensive wounds on her hands and arms, and deep gashes to her neck, face, and head. The medical examiner soon confirmed it was caused by multiple sharp force injuries. Amid the blood and chaos, one disturbing detail lingered, instilling the horror even more. Deilani was missing. She was not found anywhere in the house, and the police quickly expanded their search beyond the building. After 2 tense days, they located her safe in a Boston residence belonging to one of Leonard's relatives. But relief was short-lived. The killer was still at large, and the only person of interest was already on the move. The police tried to find Leonard, but to no avail. He had seemingly vanished into thin air. But just at the last hour, a previously overlooked fact would break the investigation open. Due to Leonard's last brush with the law, he had been tagged with an ankle monitor. It was this monitor that outlined his movements to the police. He had been in his home until around 2 p.m. on the 25th. By 2 p.m., Leonard was on the move, driving down Interstate 93 and reaching Dorchester by 3 p.m. He continued roaming aimlessly until, at 4:56 p.m., he cut off his GPS bracelet, violating his bail conditions. But that reckless move was all the police needed to close in on him. In the time leading up to his arrest, LaToya heartbreakingly begged whoever was responsible to come forward and grant her daughter justice.
I'm hurt, I'm numb, I'm angry, and I want justice for my baby and my grandbaby.
She wanted to see them punished for this wrong, and this dream was soon fulfilled. The cops were soon able to apprehend Leonard at another Boston residence without incident and added drama, and they were swift to bring him into custody. Interrogation immediately began to determine what had happened to Deja, but Leonard only continued weaving his web of lies. When asked about Deja Jenkins Minus, Leonard Robinson initially claimed he hadn't seen her in 2 weeks. But when confronted with evidence, his story shifted. Instead, he admitted seeing her on Thanksgiving, but insisted he never let her inside. What he didn't know was that police already had damning evidence that would unravel his lies. Police had executed a search warrant at Leonard's Llewellyn Street home, recovering several items, including the bloodied knife that looked to be the murder weapon. With this and the evidence from the GPS tracker of the ankle monitor, they were ready to charge him for his crimes. 22-year-old Leonard D. Robinson was charged with the murder of 22-year-old Deja Jenkins Minnis and was held without bail. However, he was quickly arraigned and Leonard pleaded not guilty to the murder. He maintained that he knew nothing about her death. But the prosecution told a different story. The prosecution laid out Leonard's incriminating social media posts, including one where he raged against Deja and declared how mad he was.
Side of the victim's home here in Mattapan, lighting candles, comforting her mother, a 22-year-old woman, a new mother, taken far too soon, the pain.
They painted a vivid picture of his rising fury, which came to a head during an explosive argument on November 25, 2021. But one question remained. What was the argument about? The prosecution alleged that he had wanted Deja to take a paternity test, to which she refused. This back and forth quickly escalated into him snatching up a kitchen knife and painting his walls red with her blood. After that, he locked her in his bedroom, took the baby Deilani, dropped her at a relative's house, and then fled. In court, Leonard continued to plead not guilty and also requested to be moved from the Middlesex House of Correction, claiming he was in danger. However, the court denied him bail due to his previous convictions for violent crimes and illegally possessing firearms. Leonard Robinson was scheduled for a probationary hearing on December 30th, after which he still awaits trial for the murder of Deja. Even now, Leonard continues to maintain his innocence, even in a surprising post uploaded to his Facebook page in February 2025. In it, he pours out his heart and makes a bold invitation. Leonard invites everyone who doubts his character to come to his trial on July 21, 2025, and watch him prove his innocence. He expressed frustration over being labeled a woman killer, despite having no history of domestic violence. He calls himself a victim who has lost everything, but many do not feel this way for him. Deja's family and friends are still devastated by her tragic end at the hands of not only the man she loved, but also the father of her child. A candlelight vigil was held where people comforted the grieving family, especially her mother. Deja has finally been laid to rest in peace. In a post made by Latoya, she wanted her to be remembered as a vibrant, loving, and accomplished young woman who would do anything to care for her loved ones. As Deja's loved ones continue to grieve and as her young daughter grows up without her mother, we must remember that only the court will ultimately determine Leonard's guilt and fate. Until then, we stand with Deja's family, honoring her memory and hoping for the truth to come to light. Let me know what you think in the comment section below.